In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Mifare Ultralight EV1 tag. Mifare Ultralight EV1 tag will be a replacement to the Mifare Ultralight tags. It's very similar to how Mifare Classic EV1 replaced Mifare Classic tags. These tags are backward compatible with Mifare Ultralight. It means you can use these EV1 tags very similar to the way we have been using the Mifare Ultralight tags. These are the new features of the Mifare Ultralight EV1 tag. There are counters. Altogether there are 3 counters. You have the password protection. You can read and write protect the pages of the card. The card can be automatically locked on wrong password attempts. So the maximum is 7 wrong password attempts. The card can be locked. It supports virtual card IDs. You can define a number from 0 to 255, and this is a very interesting feature which I'm going to explain in the later videos. It has got what is called as the originality check or the signature. So using this feature, you can verify that this tag is indeed manufactured by NXP. If you remember the back in days of Mifare Classic, you can find or you can buy a very compatible tags called the UID changeable tags. And these tags, UID changeable tags, are not manufactured by NXP. So with this signature feature, you can verify that the Mifare Ultralight EV1 are not cloned tags. I have not come across any clone tags, so we don't know whether it is possible to do or not. So these tags are not very expensive. So if you compared with the Mifare Destroy tags, these are much cheaper to buy. So this is going to be a video series. So I would recommend you to see my previous 3 videos which was done almost an year ago, where I explained the documentation of Mifare Ultralight EV1. So I will be covering how to use this tag with various reader writers. Firstly, I'm going to use the ACR122u reader writer because it's very popular. I'm going to show you how to use this with the PN532 board connected in a UART mode. I'm going to show you how to use this with the PN532 board connected along with the Arduino microcontroller. So this is good for the users who use microcontrollers. I'm also going to show you how to use this in the MFRC522. This is one of the cheapest reader writer you can buy from internet, and you can connected with Arduino. I'm going to show you how to use this tag. I'm also going to show you how to use this tag using the OmniKey 5431 reader writer, and these reader writers are also very popular. And finally, I'm going to show you how to use this using CR95HF chip based reader writer. These CR95HF are manufactured by the ST Electronics. So as you can see here, there's so many things to cover, and so this is going to be a really long video series. So as I used to do in my previous videos, the first thing you would like to know is where do you buy these type of tags. So you might go to internet and look in Amazon.com or eBay, and I buy all my tags from a company called InFocus ID. As you can see here, there is no separate listing for the Ultralight EV1. However, when you order this tag, you have to mention that you need a EV1 tag, and also you can't buy this less than 100 pieces. So if you look at the price, even though this price is for the Ultralight, so I'm sure you'll end up paying a couple of pounds more. There's also one more website. Here it's clearly mentioned that it's going to be Mifare Ultralight EV1, and as you can see here, the cost is not much. For a pack of 100, it's 28, it's 34.75. And the main thing you have to notice when you buy these tags is tags from the website is what will be the cost of the delivery. So you can see I have connected my ACR122u reader writer to my PC. I would like to mention one point at this time. So I would advise the users to buy these reader writers from authorized distributors, because very recently I had a very bad experience with buying the cheaper version of this ACR122 from eBay, and which didn't work, and also many people had the same problem. So even if you pay a little bit more money, it's like an asset. So buy from the authorized distributors. So I bought this ACR122 recently from a company called Comitex, and if you can see here, the price wise, they're almost less than 30 pounds. So this is the software I've been using in all my previous videos, and it's called ACR122 Made Easy version 1.3. And I'm going to place a brand new Mifare Ultralight EV1 tag, and I'm going to read this, choose this Mifare Ultralight EV1. So the first thing we do is activate. Now Mifare Ultralight EV1 has got 7 bytes of UID, as you can see here, and I would like to show you what this software does. Then I will go and explain how every command works. So you can read the entire tag content. Now Mifare Ultralight EV1, or this tag, has got altogether, it has got 20 pages, starting from page number 0 to page number 19. In addition to that, you got 3 counters. So even though I have showed this counter as page 20, 21, 22, these are just my numbering, and there is no page number 20. Now looking at this, the memory content, as I explained in my documentation, the first 4 pages has got the UID information and the static logs and the OTP. And from page number 0 to page number 15, this is exactly what you also see in Mifare Ultralight. And that's the reason why I mentioned that these tags are compatible with the Mifare Ultralight. So I'm going to use this tag as a Mifare Ultralight tag. I can still do everything you can do the Ultralight tag. Here you are able to read the 16 pages. You can read and write. So I'm going to write something here. For example, write to page number 4. I'm going to say A, B, C, D. So write. So you're able to write. Now this is what I mean by saying the backward compatibility. So this is the screen for Mifare Ultralight, and as you can see here, even the Ultralight tag, you got the static locking, the locking bytes here, you got the OTP bytes here, the 32 bits OTP, and all these the pages, user pages from page 4 to page 15. However, there is no password feature, or there is no signature feature, or there is no counter. So I'm going to select back the Mifare Ultralight EV1. Every time before you start reading or writing, you have to first activate and read the entire tag content. So what you have got in this screen is this section here called the OTP section. So this will allow you to modify the 32 bits of page number 3. So we have seen in the documentation, OTP is a feature which suits for a ticketing purpose. You can have like a 32 entry ticket. Every time you use the ticket, you can put a tick, or you can start from either way, byte 0, put a tick and say write. So this will change the value of the OTP, and this is same as using one ticket. So like that you can go up to 32. At the bottom here I have shown you 3 counters, because this tag has got 3 counters: counter 0, counter 1 and counter 2. And these counters, I'm going to explain detail in later videos. So you can increment the counters, and these are a one-way counter. You can only increment. See, if you want to increment, the current value is always 0. So it means in a brand new tag, the counter values are 0. So I can set, you can't change the current value. So I can, the first I want to increase it by 100. Now the counter 0 is set to 100, and you also got what is called the tearing event. So if the reader writer, if it is not able to update the counter, or in other words, assume that for some reason while this counter update is going on, I suddenly remove the tag from the reader, so something like this. Now it's very difficult to simulate this event. Now whenever these type of abruptly tearing the card happens, this ultralight tag will tell you by this command called tearing event. So because I have removed the tag from the reader writer, all these connections are lost. I have to place it back, and I have to reactivate and read again. The next tab here you can use to lock the pages. This feature is identical to the ultralight. So you can lock all the pages from OTP up to page number 15. And this section you can use it to update the VCT ID, the virtual card identifier. You cannot modify here, but you can read. If I say click here, so this is the default value of the virtual card identifier, which if you go through the page number 17, you see the number 05 in byte number 1. So if you want to know about these bytes, usually when you speak about the Mifare Ultralight EV1 tag, we say it has got pages of data, and each page has got 4 bytes. You got page 0, page 1, page 2, page 3, and so on. So I mentioned about the originality check, the signature, and every tag comes with a 32-byte signature, which you can read by sending a separate command, and this is 32-byte signature for this tag. And using this signature and this ID, you can verify that these two are manufactured by NXP. So this section is called the version. So this is a new feature, and this is a new command, I would say. So there is a command called version command, which will return more information about this tag. So you can see that it has returned me 8 bytes, and the documentation has mentioned how to decode these 8 bytes. You got the fixed header, the vendor ID, the product type, the subtype, and the version number, the storage size, and the protocol. So all this information is taken directly from the documentation. So this card can be protected, or you can, as I mentioned before, this card has got a password protection. So by default, for a brand new tag, the password is a 32 byte with all the values as FFs. So if I click on authenticate, so here you can see that the card has been authenticated. However, you need the authentication only when you configure the card as protected, which you can do from the top two sections. The configuration page 0, which is available in the page number 16. So this byte or this page allows you to configure two things. One is the modulation, whether it's you want to enable the strong modulation or disabled. I have not used this modulation, so I don't want to mention anything more about that. And this number controls the protection of the pages. So right now it is set to 255. This is a page number. There is no page number for 255. So that means there is no protection at all. So if I want to protect this tag, I have to decide from which page onwards I have to protect. Assume that I want to protect from page number 4 onwards, then I will end up setting this to 04 and click on the write. I'm not going to do in this video because I'm going to cover everything in detail in later videos. Or if I want to protect from 10 onwards, from 10, 11, 12 onwards, you would put the number 10 here. Or assume that you want to protect right from the page 0, and you would put the page 0, the value 0, and write it. So next is the configuration page 1, which is called CFG1, which is present in page number 17. Now there are 4 things you can do here. You can decide what kind of protection we want, whether you want a write protection or read and write protection. So here the write protection means in order to write you need authentication. If you set it to read and write, in order to both read and write you need authentication. And the next thing is the locking the configuration itself, because we know that the entire, whether the tag is protected or not protected and all other stuff are present in page number 16 and 17. And if you do not want anybody to change this thing, so you can freeze or lock these 2 pages so that nobody can change. So this is what you do when you use this in your system and when you personalize the tag. So we always end up locking this configuration so that whatever as a system designer has decided to have, they cannot be changed. So earlier I mentioned about this card as a feature where it automatically locks. So that is controlled by this authentication limit. So this will go from 0 to 7. The value 0 means lock is not enabled. It all depends on your requirements. Some people don't want the card to lock automatically, and some people probably want the card to lock if somebody tries to authenticate with wrong password 3 times or authenticate 5 times, or maybe just after the first wrong authentication you want the entire tag to be locked. And once you do all the values, you have to write to this page. And I mentioned about you can have the value from 0 to 255 as a virtual card identifier. I'm going to give an example in later videos. I have used this feature in one of my project, and the documentation says to keep this as 5. However, if you are doing a closed application, where assume that you are using this in your company for employee access card or as a internal card, probably you can play and put whatever values you want. So this is the password. We just saw the password, and keep in mind it's always a 32-bit password. It's 4 bytes or 32-bit. And every time, so along with the password, there's also a page, that's page number 19, which stores values of 2 bytes. This is called password acknowledge pack. So whenever you authenticate, the card will return the value of the pack, and the default for a brand new tag, the value of the pack is 0. However, you can change the value of the pack to say 100 and say write. So the value of the pack is written now. So if you want to check, I'm just going to place this tag again. So I'm going to read, and keep in mind you can never ever read the values of the password and the pack value. These are completely protected. So now I'm going to go to this configuration page, and I know that it's a brand new tag. I have not changed my password. If I authenticate, you know that you got this 100 back. So I'm going to spend more time explaining every feature in detail, and also I'm going to explain you the various commands as well in my next video.